Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you might have noticed, in the past couple of months I've kind of sort of turned into an Anastasia Beverly Hills fanatic, and I'm not really sure how that happened, but it might have been initiated by the Modern Renaissance palette, which is so incredibly good. So since then I've kind of been collecting all of her like permanent palette installments. Well, I'm not actually quite sure that Subculture will be permanent. I think she said that it would depend on how well it sells, and I'm pretty sure this one is not permanent, so I'm lying. Okay, so what I mean to say with all of this rambling is that I actually recently bought the holiday installment of the brand, which is the Prism palette, and if you didn't know it, this is how it looks like. It's very comparable packaging-wise to the Subculture and the Modern Renaissance. The only difference is that the velvety material is black, and then the whole like outer part of the packaging looks a little bit different. So I absolutely love the packaging. I think it's really beautiful and really sleek. What I'm going to say though is that I keep all of my palettes from Anastasia in their original box packaging, just because this velour material tends to get really dirty quickly, and I really have no tolerance for that. So I just keep them in the original box. I try to be as careful as I can, and then they kind of sort of stay clean. Like, my Modern Renaissance is not dirty, nor is my Subculture, so I think if you kind of sort of treat them well and you keep them in their original packaging, you might be able to keep them clean if that's something that you're passionate about. Anyway, so I received the palette only last week because the UK website of ABH only launched the palette, I want to say almost a month later than the American website. For some reason, I think they were having some shipping problems. But back to me being an Anastasia Beverly Hills fanatic. So aside from actually really enjoying the products, I've also a lot of respect for the brand, because I think they deal with everything very professionally, in the sense that they never create like a false hype about the products. They always just say, hey, we're going to release this. Then they don't exactly announce the time that they're going to release it, just so they don't get everyone on their website at the exact same time. There is always enough for everybody, even with new releases. Or when you want to order something, chances are high that if you're at work and you cannot buy it within the first 10 minutes of its release, when you go home it will still be available, which was for instance the case with both Subculture and Prism. It took quite a while for Subculture to be out of stock, and then they restocked it, so that was not a problem at all. All I wanted to say is that this kind of attitude really appeals to me. I really despise, to my bones, the Morphe type of attitude. I just have absolutely no tolerance for that brand. I don't own anything from them. I do not plan on owning anything from them. And this is in no way some sort of like a rant against Morphe, but I just wanted to say, if you compare this brand to Anastasia and the way they deal with limited edition products, such as the Prism palette, you immediately see how different they are in terms of their professionalism levels, and I have a lot of respect for that. Anyhow, I don't know why I went on this tangent. Sometimes my mind just does things on its own. Anyway, so today I did this kind of like warm look using the like warmer shades from the palette, just because I already kind of sort of used the more cool tone shades before, like last week when I got the palette. You might be a little disappointed I didn't use the super crazy... Oh yeah, this is by the way how the Prism palette looks like inside. It has a very, again, interesting variety of shades. And like I said, don't be disappointed, I actually didn't use the yellowy green shade here in this tutorial, because I actually used it already like several times last week, pretty much in every look I've done so far. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go for something different today. A few thoughts about the palette. It is not as scary as Subculture. It is more on like the powderiness and pigmentation side of Modern Renaissance. The only difference is that Modern Renaissance only has these like two very like shimmery satiny shades, Vermeer and Primavera, and here you have chunkier glittery types of shades, like this one for instance here, this one here, I think this one is also similar. So these kind of shades, they don't really work well if you use a dry brush. So you either have to wet your brush, or you have to use your fingers, or both if you want to get... Okay, you can't use your wet brush and your fingers. Okay, what I meant to say is that you either have to use your finger or a wet brush in order to get these shades to look at their best. So if that's something you don't really like, then you might not like this palette. But as far as the mattes go, I think they're easy to blend, they're not super crazy pigmented like the Subculture palette, so I'd say if you are curious about this one but you were a bit intimidated by Subculture, then you should not be afraid of this one. This is not as crazy. Anyway, with that being said, I'm just going to stop blah blah blah, and I'm going to leave you with the tutorial. So if you want to find out how I got this look, then please keep watching. So I've already primed my eyelids and I'm going to dip into the Prism palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. And the first shade we're going to kind of go into as like a little bit of a transition is this one over here, which is called Unity. I initially actually thought this probably could be used as a brow bone highlight, but I was super wrong because it looks a little bit like a light beige in the pan, but it's actually like it has a very yellow tinge to it. So I am going to take this on a fluffy brush and start working it over here in my crease, and I'm going to take it quite high above the crease because it's light enough to serve as a transition, but it's too dark to be a brow bone highlight. As this palette lacks a brow bone highlight, I'm going to take this single from Essence in the shade Fluffy Clouds. It's absolutely not my favorite brow bone highlight to use, but I think it will do. So I'll just apply a light layer of that over here, like so. It's actually not too bad. I don't know why I dislike it so much. Probably because it's not a pure matte, I prefer mattes. We're going for kind of a warm tone look today because you can't see my clothes, but I'm wearing like this orangey reddish skirt and I'm just going for a warm tone look today basically. Okay. Now I'm going to shut up, and the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take this sort of smaller type of crease brush, and I'm going to first dip into Eden over here and apply that more in the upper part of the crease, and then I'm going to mix a little bit of this shade over here, which is called Saturn, and it's like a deeper pumpkin-y orange type of shade. It's so pretty. I really like this shade. Saturn is probably one of my favorites in this palette. Okay, so I am taking Eden. Okay, I'm taking my crease brush again, and now I'm going to dip it to Saturn, and I'm going to start really deepening that outer corner here. Oh, this shade is so pretty. I'm tempted to not deepen it anymore, but I feel like for our purposes later we should deepen it slightly more. Okay, so I've decided to deepen the crease a bit more, and I'm going to use my pencil type of brush again, and I'm going to dip into this brown here called Parallel, and I'm going to try to concentrate this only in the very outer part of the eye. So I'm going to dip my brush only here on the tip like so, and try to concentrate Parallel right here in the outer corner, so that we still keep a little bit of that Saturn shade. Now I'm going to grab glitter glue from Darling Girl because I prefer to do that instead of spritzing my brush with Fix Plus. It just works better for me somehow. And I'm going to apply a tiny bit of that on the back of my hand like so. And I'm going to use my finger to apply a light layer of that here on the moving lid. Don't apply that too much towards the crease because you want to be able to blend there. And for the lid, the main lid shade we're going to use that I have not actually used yet is this gorgeous orangey bronzy shade here called Eternal. It looks like a little bit of a pink sparkle is going on in here, so I'm really excited to use it. I may pop a little bit of pyramid towards the inner part of the eye and a little bit of sphinx towards the outer part of the eye, but I'm going to start with Eternal and see how it goes. And because I know that these shades probably perform better with finger, I'm just immediately going for the finger. And I'm going to pop this shade here in the center part of the lid. because like I said, I may want to pop Pyramid towards the inner part and the brownish shades toward the outer part. Oh, that's a really pretty shade. Now I'm going to use another finger. I'm going to dip into the brownish shades of Sphinx, and I'm going to apply that here more towards the outer part, like so. That works actually quite nice. It's nothing too crazy, but it blends nicely with the Pyramid shade. I think I'm going to try the last shade on a brush, just because the area is getting a little bit smaller and more difficult for me to get into with a finger. So I'm going to take this brush from Spectrum Collections and I'm going to dip into Pyramid and see whether I can apply that here towards the inner part of the lid with my brush. Luckily it seems like I can. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, and for the inner corners I'm going to go with the obvious choice, which is this shade over here, which is called Lucid, which has a kind of like a white base with a golden shift to it. I'm once again going to use my pinky for that, because I'm pretty sure it will apply best like that. Not to mention, you save on washing brushes when you use your fingers. Okay, next thing we're going to do is something really fun. So I grabbed two of the new Inglot gel liners that I think were just released for the fall, and one of them is in the number 65. It is an absolutely stunning, like blood red, reddish brown sort of shade. It's so pretty, I love it. I had a gel liner, well, not a gel liner, I had a liquid liner from Darling Girl in this particular shade, and I finished it really quickly, and I always wish that I would be able to buy this as a gel liner from Inglot. As we all know, life wouldn't be complete, or my life wouldn't be complete without glitter, so I'm going to take my heavy metal glitter liner from Urban Decay in the shade Midnight Cowboy. If you're going to grab any shade of liner of these heavy metal liquid liners from Urban Decay, I would definitely say go with Midnight Cowboy, because it fits a lot of looks. I'm going to pop that right here as an inner part of the wing and take it a little bit into the red, because why not? I'm going to grab this Urban Decay pencil in the shade Delirious and apply that on my waterline over here. The last two shades I'm going to go into are actually the two purples, so Dimension over here and Osiris. And probably I'm going to use mostly Dimension just because I'm really curious about it, but if I feel like I need to intensify and make something darker, I will also dip into Osiris. But to start with, I'm going to apply Dimension over that purple liner we laid on. Now I'm going to dip a little bit into Osiris, the deeper purple, and apply that right here in the very outer part of the eye. That is pretty much all for this little tutorial using the new Anastasia Beverly Hills Prism palette. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any other questions or requests regarding this palette, please let me know in the comment section below. As usual, don't forget to like, subscribe and the likes, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!